Welcome to Spirituality 101 at First Congregational here in Sioux City. Our second installment, I thought a great place to start is with our spiritual autobiography, because I don't want a class to be about a bunch of concepts if they don't have a personal connection. And so this is my personal connection and journey to the faith, and I'd love to hear yours. I think that's where we have to start. What does this all mean to us? And this is kind of how my journey has gone. And so hopefully I can share this and it's somehow meaningful to you. My journey got started. I came from a very Lutheran family, Missouri Synod, German Lutheran family. My great-grandfather was the charter member of St. Matthew's Lutheran Church in Mapleton, and my mom grew up in that environment, and she made sure that we went to St. Paul's Lutheran Church, St. Paul's Lutheran School, Sunday School, confirmation, youth group, and all kinds of service projects and everything. My container, as Richard Rohr would say, was pretty Lutheran. And that's kind of where my story gets started, was in confirmation class. And something happened that was kind of crazy. And I don't know if she meant it, but I wasn't taking my Sunday school very seriously, and the teacher said something along the lines of, well, you're putting yourself in danger of going to hell. I didn't really believe her, but the fact that she started to make me think about hell, and I didn't like that idea, because forever being tortured, and then after that another forever, it really bothered me. And I started to read the Bible, and as a little 14-year-old, the way you usually read the Bible is very literally. My brother he was older. He moved to Omaha, and he got into an evangelical, charismatic, Pentecostal type church. And I thought everything that he did was cool. And I started to kind of consider this stuff. And then I saw Billy Graham on a crusade, and I kind of did that. I went up and got born again. And so I started to get very serious about my faith as a young person, as a 14-year-old. And from about age 14 to about 21, I was into I call it the dark ages of my life. I say it's dark because I felt that I had to tell other people about Jesus in order to save them from going to hell. And then if I met someone who I didn't tell about Jesus, then it was on me. Why did I not tell them about Jesus? And so mostly my guilt, my faith was guilt-ridden. And so that wasn't good. And something happened my junior year when I was in college. I got to go on a service project to Mexico City. And we worked with lots of interesting youth, some of them who were orphaned during the 1985 earthquake there. And that's a long story, but what really profound me and shook me out of this dark ages of my faith was one day I was dressed up as a clown, and we were at a garbage dump where the kids don't go to school. They sort trash all day, but we were going to play soccer with them, and then we had a bunch of toothbrushes and stuff that we had donated to us. And so, but one morning I was dressed up as a clown. I had this surreal smile on my face under the most horrible conditions I've ever seen. And this little girl, maybe 5 years old, was barefoot, and there's sharps all over the place. Her legs are so skinny, her knees look like softballs. She had a blown, distended belly because of malnourishment. Her hair was even. And I saw her scramble across this pile of trash, and she, about 10 feet away from me, she found an orange peel, and she ate the orange peel. And it only takes about 1 second for your life to change. My faith came apart. It unraveled at that scene, because what we were there to do was to try to help her get to heaven. And I'm sorry, it's not okay to say, well, I'm sorry that your life is so bad here, but you can go to heaven if you do this and this. I could not. And I had been studying to become a pastor, and I went back to Sioux City a couple of days later and went to the church that had supported me on this. And I said, how was your summer? And they said, well, we got new carpet to match our curtains in our office. I would have loved to have seen my face that moment. that I had just flown over the arc of the earth, and I know that just over the horizon, there are people in garbage dumps eating orange peels, and nothing could make sense. I got out of college with a degree in religion, but I didn't plan on using it because going to heaven didn't make sense to me. If we're just let this be hell, no, I couldn't deal with that. And so, but I didn't have a real job, and so I was still living at home, and I was working road construction. I was miserable, and so I basically I took the first job that came along. It was on a Native American reservation in New Mexico, the Mescalero Apache Indian Reservation, and became a youth worker at a church. Well, that didn't go over very well with the church. I fell in love with the people, had a good time with that, getting to know them and their culture. But on the church front, I wasn't taking it seriously enough. I was full of doubts. And one day the pastor just asked me point blank, he said, I don't get it. What do you have to offer? And being someone who wants to help the world be a better place, that question was disturbing because basically he was saying, you don't have anything to offer. And it stung me hard. And I decided I didn't want anything to do with the church from then on. And the trouble is I couldn't escape the church, even though I went on the Appalachian Trail and tried to get away from it. There was this guy, Harry Vassal. He is a Franciscan. He was a Franciscan brother in Mescalero on the reservation. He was just the coolest guy. He had rode rails as a hobo priest because he wanted to minister to that population who rode the rails. Yeah, this guy was amazing and reminded me what I actually think Jesus would be like in the modern age. And he said, out of the blue, he said one day, here's a picture looking out of the monastery. If you ever want to go and learn Spanish, just go down there and go ahead. Don't even tell them you're going. Just go. So I actually did. But this is after I've been traveling a year, and I didn't have much money, and I didn't have much confidence. And I knocked on the door, and this guy named Father John opened the door. Didn't know me. Leads me upstairs into the monastery. He says, here's your room. Stay as long as you want. I felt the grace of God. I know that's cliche to say stuff like that, but I swear there was a grace. I had not earned anything with these guys. Why would they trust me like that? And I made it my resolve, even though I didn't speak a lick of Spanish, that I was going to help this community somehow. They had put trust in me, and 6 months I didn't know a thing. But I started to figure out the Spanish language. And as I was working in the soup kitchen, and I was teaching English, and then I taught Don Maximo how to read and write. That's why I'm a teacher today. That was a very rewarding experience. And helping, bringing food to Don Piteco, who was paralyzed. And I had an amazing, life-changing experience at the monastery. And I came back to Sioux City, and there was just no more daily bread in the faith. It was once a week on Sundays, and I couldn't find that community, and it didn't make sense anymore. And so I just kind of became a non. I just didn't go to church anymore. It didn't even make sense. In fact, I became sort of anti-church, even though I knew full well that there's beauty out there in the church. But I just couldn't find it here in Sioux City. And then something happened. Our country started to separate children from their parents at the border. And I don't care what party you're in. If that was my party that was doing that, I hope to God I'd be 100% against it. And I felt we're in a moral crisis because this isn't normal. And I thought that whatever my reaction is to this situation in our country, it is what I would do in Nazi Germany if I watched them round up Jews. And I tried to do stuff about that, but it also got me thinking about Mahatma Gandhi, that I have to become the change I want to see. I can't just try to hopefully change the world. I need to change myself. And so I started looking at internet people who kind of made a lot of sense, but the trouble is they were always offering some secret knowledge for like $29.99 and showing me their $1 million mansions in California, which, I thought that's part of the problem. The greed is the problem. And then I still even today, I have a little bit of a hard time saying this, But then I started to like look at Jesus again. I know nobody says that word. I know. But he has this flip-flopped cool world view that I said, this is really something. I mean, and at the time I was doing this, this church, First Congregational, asked me to come and speak. And so I had to re-examine like stuff in the Bible, and I started looking at that. And then that led to another speaking opportunity there. And then that led to a class that I gave called the Admiration Series. I'll put a link here on it. But it was like looking at people like Dorothy Day, Mother Teresa, Desmond Tutu, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and Leo Tolstoy, and Mahatma Gandhi, and the Prophet Muhammad, and Buddha, and Moses, and just amazing people that are out there. Wendell Berry, and I see myself changing. The story here, this spirituality thing, is not just something I can mock anymore, because I think there's actually something there. And what I think is there is, it's like these woods. To me, God is actually here. I don't know how you want to say God, but this is like God in a nutshell right out here. See this behind me here? And God's in this woods. God's in me. God's in you. And to be connected to that benevolent universe that is out there, it's benevolent. I try to align myself to that through gratitude. And so it's just been this crazy big circle. It started at the Sunday school type Jesus Loves Me kind of song stuff, and into these weird movements of Pentecost. It just sort of, kind of a crazy journey that I've had. And here I am back to this thing. There is love out there. There's grace out there, which was what Luther was talking about the whole time. But I didn't get that. I don't know how to wrap up this journey because it's ongoing. I'm not sure where it's leading, but I am trying to do this course and share a little bit of what I've found, and that's where I'm coming from. So I hope you means something. I'd love to hear what you have to say on your journey in faith, and hopefully we go from here. But anyway, that's where I've come from, and thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next week. Peace.